Good morning, Peacock.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Doing great. It's been a while since we've been on the podcast.
Well, kind of been a little busy traveling
And
and then jumping.
as much as we try to do it from abroad, it just doesn't ever work out.
It doesn't. It's just there's a lot of components that go into that aside from the fact that, we're out enjoying, but, sometimes, the technology gods don't want us to do it. So we had to just go with the role, of picking another time. And that's
So,
okay.
yes. So, last episode, episode 14, was about hosting retreats and what does that look like? But today, episode 15, is going to be about traveling with two peacocks and what does that mean? What does it look like? And
Well,
what is
before we even get into what it looks like, can we talk about why we do this and how what we want for our travelers to experience, why we wanted to experience that? I think both you and I are very familiar with wearing multiple hats, and I think that we don't ever take them off because we're simultaneously working on multiple things at one time. Sometimes we're even acquiring new hats without even us knowing it. But we really want to offer these trips so that women can take off all the hats and not worry about anything. So when we say pack your bags and just meet us at the airport, that's literally what it means. And if you can imagine yourself not having to worry about planning, scheduling, reserving, arranging, coordinating, imagine that. This truly is a trip for our travelers to explore a new environment, but more importantly, it's just to be themselves. So that's like our biggest why. Now, what can they expect when they meet with us, right? Like, let's take them back from the very beginning. The minute that they tell us they're interested, how do we get started? Let's share that.
I mean, the minute they start saying that they're interested, I mean, we start engaging with them on any level that they feel comfortable, right? Like it could be on the DMs, it can be via email, it could be on a phone call. So we immediately start the conversation. I know that if the trip is 6, 8 months away, the conversations don't start immediately. We do to start the initial making sure you fill out your paperwork, assuring that you have travel insurance, and just answering questions. But I want to say maybe like about 3 to 4 months before we actually take off to our destination, that's when we start a lot of the conversations. We start putting together our group on our chat, which is on WhatsApp, which is pretty much international application that helps us communicate freely over Wi-Fi instead of using any type of mobile plan that you might have. So there is when we start. We introduce each other, we start talking, asking questions. But when we start the process of getting ready, we do put together Zoom calls where everyone can meet, everyone can talk, ask questions, all the questions, but we start from the basics. Is your passport ready to go? Do
That's
you have
question number one.
is
Passport
your
has to be
passport
ready
is
to go.
ready? Absolutely. And we know that your passport having to be renewed, it does take a little bit of time depending what time of the year you decide you want to renew it. It's better to do it over the holidays instead of doing it right before the summertime. And then we have our tips that we give our people. Like, friends, don't let friends not pre-check TSA. Like that's just a no-no because I'm gonna have to leave you behind. So make sure that everyone has their TSA, and then making sure everybody has a global check-in. What is it called?
Global
Global
entry.
global entry on the way back, because then I'm gonna have to leave you again. Because friends don't let friends not get global entry. Because while you're standing in line with all those people, I'm just gonna swoop on by to go get my bag,
Yep.
right? So the conversations are from very basic to advanced, whatever
More
people want to
detailed.
know.
Yeah, absolutely. They're detail oriented. And again, like you just said, that we start from the very beginning. But it's really giving you the big picture of everything and then breaking it down to by steps. And we help you through each step. So really it's our way of encouraging women to get out of the comfort zone and just travel. We're going to take care of all of it for you.
And really the psychological aspect to making sure that they are okay with the idea that they're going to be going on a trip that is really long distance, that it's going to a country that they've never imagined they would go to. They were very curious, but now they're going to take that step forward. So it really does entail that we calm everyone's nerves. We do go on these trips with our guests. Sometimes it's both of us, sometimes it's just one of us, but we do go because that's whole part of if you've never traveled, then you can kind of learn what travel looks like, going through the process from the airport to arriving to transportation. If you don't speak the language, how you maneuver around something like that. So we do that for you, so you don't have to worry about it. So when you get on the airplane and you eat, that LA Unified School District meal they serve you on the airplane, that you know that when you arrive, you are just going to be, those meals are just horrible, Anna.
Why
I,
you
I
got to
wanted,
go there?
dude,
Why did you have to
I
go
wanted
there?
to tell the man on who is the chef for these airlines, LA Unified School District. This food sucks.
Which is why we encourage and actually tell you bring snacks with you, because you're not going to get the best on the plane. And then, you don't want to pay $50 for a bottle of water. So, there's a lot of the details. When I talk about details, we mean those details, like down to the snacks and
Back up.
giving you a heads up,
Back up.
on
You
the
still have to
flight.
pay. You still have to pay for the $50 water because you can't pass it through
Well, no, what I was
screening.
going to say is that, well, there's hacks that we share, right? That people that have medication. I mean, there's different things. We won't go into it, but we definitely do go into the details of what you should do. And definitely, the food thing is just, the reality is that when you go on vacation, you kind of get more hungry. I don't know what it is, but you want to be prepared. And so you want to bring your snacks. And for the record, make sure that if you're bringing snacks for someone else, ask them, because they may come back and tell you that you bought healthy snacks. What the
Girl,
heck is
I
going
know
on
you
there?
didn't buy those healthy snacks. I was like, what the hell is this? Am I on a
Dude,
diet or am I on vacation?
I brought you I brought you a nut package with little bits of chocolate, and then I brought you blueberry granola bars, and you looked at me like I was from out of this world. I'm like, dude, I need to keep us healthy. No, you
Girl,
wanted like the
I picked
freaking
I picked out the chocolate out of all the freaking little packets, and then I picked out all the little all the little
unbelievable.
berries out of it. But no,
Uh,
dude, really, seriously, like I'm gonna have to approve those snacks next time because I was kind of like, what the hell is this? I'm gonna go hungry. So, but I was gonna say that one of the questions that someone asked me is, so I was telling the story that when we travel with my mom packs up everybody sandwiches, right? And de frijoles with huevito and plátanos and the works. And someone said,
the
"You can
works.
take those on the plane? You can pass those through TSA?" And the answer is hell yeah. Go to King
Yep.
Taco and go get yourself a burrito or two, put it in your bag, it'll go right through. Even the salsa will, because that's not 4 ounces. So you can take your little chilito with you. Yes, girl. And you can eat delicious on the airplane. Everyone's going to be looking at you thinking, what are you eating? Because everybody else is eating that garbage that they serve on the airplane. And guess what? You're going to be able to sleep better. You're going to be happier and not be upset like I was this last time because whatever they were serving, I was like, what kind of crap is this?
No, it's
I was
crap.
angry. I was angry.
You were hungry.
Hmm.
So, I mean, so yeah, you could take your tacos, you could take your burritos, but you could also take a little box of portos. You
Yes.
can't go wrong with portos. They pack it up in a little box and you just take it on, and everybody's going to want some and you're not going to share because, those are prime.
Every
So
time we take
you
Portos,
got,
the people at the airport are like, "Oh man, you're taking the Portos. This stuff is good." And then we're like, "Okay, you can have one. Sure, we can share one with you because they let us through."
I guess if I have to share.
But yes, you can take food. You can take food. It's just the liquid situation that becomes an issue. So please take advantage of that. But anyways, so see the little tips that we share with everyone. You do not have to eat the stuff on the airplane. You can actually eat your own food before you reach your destination, right? So, but so then we just came back from Morocco. I did a quick stint in London because it was a research trip. And then we just returned from Cuba, which was an amazing trip. I have to say that Cuba never disappoints.
Never.
Morocco was a very, very uh, surprisingly beautiful for me trip because I told you I had been to Morocco back in 2008 and I was not very happy. I was kind of like turned off. But apparently things have changed a lot since then. I mean, 2008 was like yesterday. They make it sound like, well, that was like 20 years ago. I'm thinking, man, it was almost 20 years ago.
Almost 20 years
So
ago.
apparently
Shoot.
a lot of things happened. King Mohammed got his stuff together and kind of changed the country. So kind of helped everybody out. But it was very educational. Like I cannot have any more tagines. I am done. I think I'm good for a whole year.
You know, the funny things that you learn that you don't expect to learn, right? And that's the beauty of our
Yes.
travels. Because everybody, you can blog about things and you could talk about all the, it's a beautiful this, and but it's the experience. So you learned you will never again have tagine. And here I
Well,
am.
why
I'm like, I want to taste.
why well, why can't I
Well,
have tagines?
it's
So,
again, it's
I
it's the things that you
discovered that
learn. Yeah. What did you
yeah, so I
discover?
discovered that I am allergic to some kind of ingredient they use in the tagine that makes my mouth and the inside break out in canker sores. And it just seemed like it was like the 4th of July in my mouth every time I had a tagine because I felt like I was having
Ouch.
them twice a day. So just to kind of tell our listeners, a tagine is a clay pot where and it has like a little beak on the top where the steam comes out, but they cook in there like very delicious food, very much like the food that we eat in our culture, chicken, uh, carrots, potatoes, peas, olives, just very delicious food. But they use an ingredient that I don't use at home that just makes my mouth just. So it was kind of painful for eating that stuff for a week because I felt like every time I ate it, at first I was like, oh, it might be just something that I ate on the airplane, garbage. And then I was kind of like, Anna, no, it's something in the tagine. So every time I went to a restaurant, I'm like, what do they have? Tagine. I was like, oh no, not another 4th of July exposure in my mouth, but we're going to eat it again. But it's delicious. It really is delicious. I just cannot manage. Yet I did not lose a freaking pound, girl. You know,
Okay, well, I mean that happens.
my fat,
We
yeah,
walked
my fat's
a
sticking onto
hundred
me.
thousand. We walked. How many trips have we taken where we walk 100,000 steps and we still gain weight? It's like, well, what the hell happened here?
My fat is loyal, girl. Sticking to me. It's like, girl, I'm not leaving you. I'm
Mine's
like, no,
mine's
go ahead.
really. I think mine is under the impression it really needs to protect me.
Mine's too. You can go, girl. I don't need you. Thank you for
I
your
know.
service.
I've already had the
But hey,
conversation. It's okay. Let it go.
I release you.
I release you. Yeah.
Thanks for
There you
your
go.
thanks for your service. But
I
so, going to going to Cuba and I feel like yes, today is a week that we came back home. It
but
was
yes, it's a
amazing.
week, and it was an amazing trip. And the thing is that it's been a week and I feel like we're still on the go because we haven't, we've been to other things that have happened right after Cuba, but I think I think it's there's so much value in sharing with individuals what we experience in Cuba and why we encourage people to kind of just think about what the possibility is for you to travel. It could be Cuba, it could be Morocco, it could be anywhere. But when you travel with us and what your experience you can get, I know one of our travelers gave us a really nice review. And she highlighted the fact that we took care of everything from A to Z, but more importantly, it was us ensuring that they got to experience something that's not you can't experience it without being able to travel, if that makes sense.
And yes, and I think that so the way we do it, of course, there's always one of us that goes ahead of the team to make sure that everything is in line. There is a lot of work into putting together the details of one of our trips. It's not just us showing up and figuring out as we go. It takes months. And actually, Anna took a picture
Oh.
of us today working hard trying to brainstorm, and we look like two locas. There's no makeup on, and our hair, like, well, at least my hair, it's all kind of like on one side. And but it takes a
It's
lot of details because Anna and I are very detailed when it comes to things. It doesn't have to be particularly travel, it can be anything. It's just, our motto has always been go big or go home. And with that comes a lot of detail.
I mean, detail is everything. So the success is in the details, is what we tell people, because we can curate something, surprises. We can curate things that are going to be one of a kind. We can curate things that, you never thought you would even experience. And that's really what we pride ourselves in, where you can find, different kind of trips, but you're not going to have the personalized touch. And that's really what we look for. We look to make sure that we offer something that is unique, and, an experience that you're going to have a lifetime of memories. So I think in Cuba, we surely had an amazing, I think I would love to go down memory lane. Like, I can't believe it went by so fast. We spend, like you said, we spend a lot of time planning. There's a lot of energy that goes into the planning and the details and everything. And then we're there and it just kind of flies, right? But if we look back at the pictures, they're just beautiful memories.
They are. And then, the camaraderie and the bonding of the women during breakfast. One of our guests said that that's the part she misses the most because we had
Yeah.
breakfast made every single morning. And we sat down and we shared stories and we talked and we were excited about what we were going to do next. And then that's just the beginning, right, of our day. But Anna and I are always very on top of what's happening. So if I get a contact or a communication saying that whatever we have planned for the day can't happen for A, B, and C reasons, Anna and I have backup B and C because the experience has to continue. So for example, we were supposed to go to a cigar rolling event, but that did not come through. Usually in countries like Cuba, it can be that, we can't get in contact with the person anymore. That's kind of a done deal. It's not like we can search them on the internet. They function on WhatsApp. And it's really through connections that we've made over the years. But we were able to kind of we had backup plan. And the backup plan turned out to be fantastic. The ladies
Oh,
just
the backup plan.
loved smoking cigars and experiencing it with the rum and how you pair them and what it means in society and how, everyone was hoping they would hate the cigar smoking. Ended up everybody loved the cigar smoking because everybody ended up
Everyone loved
buying
it.
cigars, right? Such an amazing experience. So we want people to really understand that that's what really takes into consideration. The thing is that I don't know. Maybe I've always been the planner in my family when it comes to trips, and I want things to go smoothly, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like, I don't want to be thinking about it. I don't want to question it. I don't want to know. I don't want to be like, so what are we going to do next? What are we going to do next? No, girl, I need it to be planned. Like, I need to know that the next 7 days, if there's rest time, there's rest time. If it's a plan, it's a plan. If we're going to catch a cocoa taxi, we're catching a cocoa taxi. And,
And if the
that's
cocoa
just part of the
taxis,
experience. And that's
no, I was gonna say, you know how you said that if Plan A doesn't work, so like if the cocoa taxi is not available, we're gonna get the BC taxis. Or like we have all that already planned, and it's exactly what you said. If there's rest time, it's planned rest time.
Yes. And, I think that from the accommodations to the food, um, to who we have lined up to help us on the ground, it's all pre planned. We always try very hard to make contacts with people that have been vetted in and out by recommendations, by reviews, or from personal interactions that we've had or that we've used them in the past. And I think that sometimes when people look at our trips, they don't really understand, like, what does the pricing entail? Well, the pricing entails a lot. The fact that you just show up and enjoy a trip that has been put together, and you don't have to think about, how am I going to get to the airport, or how am I going to get from the airport, or how am I going to get to this destination, and all these tours and what's entailed in it. You don't have to worry about those things, and that's what's included in the price. Of course, some of the meals are not included in the price. People should have an option to eat different things and what they want to do on their free time. But all in all, that is what the price entails, the experience, and for us to be there to manage the whole experience.
Yeah, it's definitely managing from the details of the logistics of the where we're staying, to any questions, concerns, asks. If someone says, I really want to go back to that little store, like, we will arrange it in the tour. So that's where the personalization comes in, right? We had some of our guests wanted to go back to the cigar place, right? Or they want to go back to the rum place. I mean, we will move things
Everybody wanted to
around,
go
but
back to the cigar place.
we all wanted to go back.
Everybody wanted
Okay,
to
we
go
all
back.
wanted to go back. And the thing is that that's what we leave room for. We plan certain things, right? But if in general the consensus is, I really want to go back, well, then let's take you back. We can move things around. And that's the price includes that personalization to our travelers. We're very aware, in terms of making sure we want everyone to have a great time. So that goes from making the planning and the traveling from point A to point B very easy, to enjoying and not having to worry about what the next step is, because we've already gotten taken care of. You just have to say, okay, where to next? And we're taking care of it already. And that's
And so,
that's the
yes,
personalization.
do you remember when we were in Cuba and the electricity went out?
Oh,
I
we're gonna
think
we're
that,
gonna tell a story.
well, not the whole story, but just the story about, that I got up and went to go call the lady. But no, I'm saying that our guests felt like they didn't worry about it because
They, yeah, we're like, did you like, no, well, we figured you guys would take care of it. Yeah, well, we took care of it. You know,
exactly.
those are
And
the
that's the
things that
point.
you could, that's exactly the point. So, like, you could be somewhere, and if we weren't with you, right, and you're staying somewhere, the first thing is, oh my God, the power went out. What do I do? We already had it taken care of. We have our
Exactly.
contacts, set in place. You brought up a very good point that I think it's worth mentioning again, is that we have contacts on the ground, and they're based on our own experience, that we've worked with them. They've been vetted, they're solid. It's not just something like we're winging things. There's nothing that has been being winged, if that's a way of saying it. Everything has been meticulously planned and detailed for our guest.
Yes.
So from having fun to, I want to go back to that store, to the lights went out, to, I want to try this restaurant. Like, we will adapt, we will pivot, we make it very flexible, because at the end of the day, it's about making our travelers very comfortable to enjoy themselves and not have to worry about not one thing. Now, once we're traveling back, everybody's like moping and they're dragging. They're like, oh, we got to go back. you know that part we can't take care of. That we wish we could extend it. But from the minute you meet us at the airport to the minute we land at our destination home, you're under our care, and we make sure, and you guys, I think everybody gets comfortable with both of us. I mean, that's why there's, that we've got two different things going on, but we're always there making sure that everybody's comfortable and enjoying themselves.
And so, to that point, we had some people that did not go to Cuba because for whatever reason, and they said, "Well, we'll just go next year." And I want to remind people that sometimes putting things off is a way of really thinking that things will be okay. So I just wanted to remind folks in the situation of Cuba, we can travel to Cuba only under a very, actually, one of the reasons that they offer we can travel to Cuba. So when the last president was in office, he stopped the trips to Cuba. The Western Union was also stopped to the Cuban people. And what I'm trying to say is that we can't take advantage of the fact that today is possible. We don't know what's going to happen when we have a new government in the new year.
Yep.
And the same thing can be to the upcoming trips. We're going to Peru, which is a beautiful, beautiful, one of the wonders of the world that we're going to be visiting. But as we know, that country's been having a little bit of an issue with the indigenous population that if we make it to this year, which I'm sure we are going to make it, right? But it's plausible this year, but it might not be plausible next year.
Yeah, the situation can change at any moment.
Like in Ecuador, Ecuador was great one day and then it wasn't the next. And so for us to expect things to be waiting for us, and we really need to kind of take a step back and rethink those things. Oaxaca, again, Oaxaca is a trip that is a an amazing experience to delve into the culture of El Dia de los Muertos, experience the people, the culture, the music, the food, the traditions. But let's not take advantage of the fact that it's something that's plausible today. It might not be plausible next year. Like right now, they're going through some serious fires. That doesn't, we don't have control of things like that. So if you want to go to Cuba, if you want to go to Machu Picchu, if you want to go to Oaxaca, you want to go to Egypt, you got to do it. Because, and I told you the story, and my son, when he was 5 years old, he wanted to go to Egypt. And the Civil War had just started at that time. And I told him we can't go. The next day, he asked me if the war was over. And I told him, dude, this is going for a long haul. Like, wars don't last 24 hours. Now the situation in Egypt's a lot better, and now we're taking advantage of it, right? Like this is a time. Let's go.
Hmm.
Let's go and delve into that part of the world. But I really want to reassure our listeners that we do all the hard work so you can show up, you can enjoy the destination you chose to travel with us because that's what we do. And don't put off tomorrow. No, don't put off today what you can do tomorrow. How do you say it?
No, don't put off. Oh my goodness, don't put it off for tomorrow. What you can do today.
Oh, there you go. It's the menopause. So I think that, you know, um, what we bring to the table is to make sure that your experience is phenomenal. I'm very indebted to the people who, came on this trip with us, who wrote phenomenal, um, uh, what do you call them?
Reviews or feedback.
Oh, reviews. Reviews. God, Anna, it's like charades with you and I. Jesus. You know that thing you get into and it takes you from A to B? Oh, you mean a car? Yes. Reviews. They wrote us some wonderful reviews that I'm just, and the reviews to Morocco. It was
Yeah.
amazing. And you know what the biggest at the end of the happiness survey, that's what we call it. There's a question is how could we have made your trip better? Number one answer. It could have been longer.
Everybody, actually, it's a little surprising to us because we thought, we're like, we're pushing, like, we're all about going big, but we're like, okay, not everybody's there yet. So let's like minimize it. But now the feedback's coming back. They want longer. And we get it. We get it. We're more than happy to make it longer. That's not an issue. But it's always very reassuring, and it's cool to hear that there are people that that they're in that same process of thinking we could do longer. Yeah, absolutely.
So we are going to be introducing some of the 2025 trips. Even though we still have some 2024 trips we have to reveal, but backed by popular demand in 2025 in February, we'll be going back to Morocco. And this one's going to be an 8 day, 7 night trip. And then also, we're going to be going back to Cuba, God willing, for two different types of trips. We want to call it the intro to Cuba, which is the 6 day, 5 night in Havana to make sure
In
you get a
Havana.
bit. And then we're going to do the Cuba 2.0, which perhaps the two groups that have been to Cuba with us will join us. And that will
Yeah.
be an 8 day, 7 nights. And it will be visiting Viñales, Cienfuegos, and then also Varadero, which will end at the beach, which is the beautiful beaches of Varadero are just really they'll leave you speechless. So we're going to be introducing those three trips for 2025, back again by popular demand, and we're going to be releasing those in a couple of months so everyone can start signing up if you're interested in joining that trip.
Yeah, and the fact that we offer payment plans, it makes it very easy so that by the time you're going on the trip, it's free.
That's right. I saw that meme. It says, I paid for this trip a long time ago. It's practically free.
It's
Absolutely.
practically free. So there you go.
So I think that, I want to say thank you to a lot of the women who came with us who did not know us, who took a chance to travel with us, and they were so happy they did. Three of the women in the trip are looking forward to joining us in Egypt, which we're very excited about. We have not released the details on the Egypt trip yet, but that is in November, and we'll be releasing that information very soon. So I think that they were left with such a positive experience that they really are willing. And actually, we're actually planning also a luncheon. We're going to get back together because we miss having breakfast together. Now
Yeah.
we want to have lunch together so we can catch up and talk about how sad we are. We're no longer on vacation.
But see, here's exactly the an example of the camaraderie that's pulled together. When you make new friends, you all walk in as strangers, but you walk out like friends. I mean, and that's here's proof.
Yes, I totally agree. So I think that we're not traveling anytime soon until the summer. So we're here to stay for a couple of months while we plan and we work hard on putting together an itinerary for the rest of 2024 and 2025. And so, we'll be doing the podcast every week now. Now you're stuck with us weekly. You took a month off from us, so now we're back. And so just a shout out to our Cuba participants that listen to us. Thank you so much for making our trip such an awesome trip. And to those who travel to Morocco as well, thank you so much for your support. And until next week, Peacock,
Okie dokie. See you then.
follow us on Instagram. We're there posting all kinds of pictures of Anna and I drinking.
Oh, and you know what? And if you're not on our email list, get on our email list. Send us your email because our newsletters are going to have some special surprises and you don't want to miss out. So send us your email.
Sounds good, Anna. See you later, Peacock. Have a good day.
Astas.
Hasta.